Awesome. Well, I'm Jack. I'm the host of Pop Palace. We're a podcast and blog. We focus on educating people on women and iconic LGBTQ people in the music space. And
Amazing.
so I found you on Instagram a little bit ago, and then immediately thought I need to talk to her. So, welcome to
Oh,
the podcast.
thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. So, if we could start off by just introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about how you got into music.
Hi, I'm Caitlyn, and I first got into music by doing sort of local gigs and stuff as a teenager. I always loved singing and writing, and I started kind of playing in my village's pubs when I was still in secondary school, and then moved to London at 17 and started working with other people and became a songwriter as well as an artist. And a couple of years ago, I also started a band called Rubberband Girl, and we just released our first album. So I have many plates spinning, all of them musical in some way or another.
That's awesome. Um, did you always want to be both a performer and a songwriter, or was there one that you wanted to focus on more at the
I
beginning?
think when I was younger, I think I would have just imagined myself being more of a like traditional pop star because I was very inspired by like Kate Bush and Lady Gaga. And I think I probably imagined myself going like the route of because I was theatre kid as well. So I always thought, oh, first I'll go on like Disney Channel, and then I'll get a record deal, and then I'll do this and this. And it just turned out to not be the path for me at all. Like the more I grew up and grew into myself, I realized that I was comfortable not having all the focus on me, and I really enjoyed working in a team. And there are so many different genres of music that I want to try out that it's too many for one artist project because you'd just be confusing your fans all the time. So yeah, I ended up feeling like I wanted to be 50-50 in the end. Like I still have my own artistic voice and my passion projects, but I also love being able to like play and be involved in other people's stuff as well.
Awesome. How what is the process like making music for yourself versus Rubber Band Girl and doing it with other people?
Mm. Well, I think for me, Rubber Band Girl is feels very me, but there's a collaborative element in the sense that I started it and the whole album was executive produced by John Quamby. So we collaborate on on the vision, and it's not all about me, although it feels very authentic. The sound feels very authentic to me. And sometimes I might do like under the name Caitlyn Scarlett, I might do a wide plethora of things. So one of them could be like kind of a house banger, and then another one could be like I released a Halloween EP for fun, and they all require a different brain to do, you know.
Hmm. I love that. And I love how versatile your sound is. Um,
Thank you.
I feel like it also goes into your aesthetic, like the way you dress and your style. Is that something that like you wake up, you're like, I'm gonna wear this, I have this outfit, or is it just come naturally where you pick something here and pick something there?
It's like I have a lot of clothes, but I don't shop a lot. I just never throw anything away. So I've amassed a lot of clothes throughout the years. And I think every day when I wake up, my job is to just trying to figure out who I feel like and what character I can pull out of those clothes. Because, you know, I sometimes think that the neighbors must see me leave the house on different days and not really like know that they're all me. Because I might walk out like dressed like a teenage boy one day, and then the next day it's like look like a Victorian witch, and then the day after that like a teacher at Hogwarts. So it's like my main thing is just trying to work out how do I feel, and sometimes it starts with gender as well. Like I might wake up and say like, do I feel more on the scale of between boy and girl? Like, am I leaning? In which case, if it's like more boy that day, then it's gonna be a beanie and baggy jeans, and if it's more girl, then maybe I'll put some like tights on, or yeah, it's very fluid.
I love that. That's kind of
Uh,
how I am.
yeah,
Just like how I'm feeling that day. Have you
exactly.
always felt not the need, but the want to dress up and have a style, even like as a child?
Yes, definitely. My mum knew from the beginning that I was like going to be a very independent person. Like I always insisted on choosing things and doing things for myself. And as soon as I was able to, you know, dress myself and have a say over what clothes my mum bought, I started developing a fashion sense. And I think it's been consistent actually from when I was a kid. Like I always had boots on. I always liked to play around with layers and funky prints. And it's just expanded over the years.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so let's talk about the Roc Nation writing camp.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
what was the vibe like? How did that come together?
For me, it was like a bit of a wild ride and out of the blue because I had never been published or, you know, I had done well in my own little space, but I felt like that was a massive jump up to be asked to do that writing camp at the time. And it felt really exciting. It was very topsy turvy as well because um, the studio was rented kind of permanently for the camp for about a month or so. And a lot of the people there were from LA, but they didn't want to get jet lag. So us English writers had to come in at like night and write during the night so that we would all be on the same timeline, which was crazy for me because I also had a job and I was trying to like, so I'd come into the studio at 6 p.m. and leave at like 4 a.m. and then go home and sleep for like 4 hours and then go to work. And so it was a nuts time.
That's wild. How were you
Yeah.
there? Were you doing that for a month?
On and off. Yeah. And it actually went on another year as well. And I think another year on top of that. I'm not sure though.
That's so
Um,
cool.
yeah. So there were multiple years in a row and it kind of, it had that almost like summer camp feeling in a way.
Hmm. Was the vibe more serious or was it playful or a mix in between?
Probably, yeah, a mix, I would
A
say.
mix.
I think there's when you're writing for an artist as big as Rihanna, there's a sort of heaviness in the room of like everybody wants this to be, everyone knows it needs to be sick and it needs to, because the standard is so high. And I think we all have been influenced by an artist like that. So it's like there was a sort of sense of responsibility, but also a huge air of fun. And like we're musicians and like we do rock star shit sometimes.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so I was looking on your TikTok a little bit ago,
Oh
and I
God.
saw and I saw that you were doing some jewelry making. Is that a hobby
Yeah.
of yours?
I'd like for it to be more, but I did make this ring. Wait, where's the camera? Here it is. So this ring I
Ah,
made, and
cute.
excuse my nails, they're covered in papier mâché right now. Halloween related activities. But yeah, this ring is the baseline from Fleetwood Mac's The Chain.
Ah,
So I
so
just
cute.
had a friend that has a studio, and he was like, "Do you want to carve some wax?" And I know a guy who can get them cast in silver. But I've been thinking recently about making jewelry because I'm obsessed with the. Have you seen? It's like silver clay, and you
Yes.
can mold it, and then when you cook it, it comes out just the silver.
Yes. I want one of the like chunky gem silver rings so bad.
Oh, cute! Yeah, I have just got
Yes.
a lot of chunky gems
Ah,
actually.
cute.
That
I
one's from Spain.
love.
Thanks.
Um, so before you moved to London, were you living in a smaller city?
Yeah, it wasn't even a city. I'm from a village called Bray, which is in a town called Maidenhead, which is in a county called Berkshire. And it's like an hour away from London, but it's different. I mean, it was much more different when I was growing up. It's sort of getting sucked into London now a bit, and the culture and the vibe has changed. But growing up, it felt like very green and small in comparison to London, like the metropolis that London is. Um, and it was like, yeah, it was nice though. It was nice growing up there. It just wasn't. I always knew I wanted to move to London since I was
And
a
so
kid.
did when you moved to London, did you find new inspiration? Did you find yourself your sound changing at all?
Defo, because I grew up in a place where it was like you were doing indie shit with your guitar and like battle of the bands and stuff. So I was kind of very much piano and guitar only at that stage. And so when I got to London, I suddenly made friends with all the people I was at college with and stuff, and a lot of them were rappers and beat makers, and like it introduced me to the concept of production, and started working with the first producers I'd ever met and stuff. And suddenly I fell in love with electronic music, and that's something that's really lasted, because like still I think one of the things that I am most known for is doing like EDM and house.
Mm-hmm.
So that was hugely life-changing for me. Yeah.
That's awesome. Speaking of EDM and house, did you how did your collab with Subtronics come about? Did they reach out to you? And was
Yeah,
it
they did. I wrote that song, and it was just a song that I'd written, and I think they heard it somehow, and it came out of the blue sort of, and it sounded like Subtronics version is very, Subtronics. So
mm-hmm.
when I heard it for the first time, it was like wildly different from the song I wrote at first, but it worked. So
Yeah.
we were like, let's do it.
Do you have a preference on like the type of EDM? Do you prefer like house or like deep bass, or is there or
Ooh, it depends on the day. I think house for me is a huge part of my life, and I have a deep appreciation for house music and the culture surrounding it. But for me, I like really heavy stuff. Like I like the more kind of hard hitting electronic, bit more like nasty kind of vibes. I don't
mm-hmm.
know, you know. Um,
is
yeah.
is there a large like EDM culture in London?
I would say so. Yeah, I'd say so. But I think it's a bit like it's a little bit more tame than somewhere like Berlin, for example.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't even know if Berlin would want to say EDM for them. They'd probably call it techno. But there's
Yeah.
there's a huge overlap, I
Okay.
think. But yeah, I mean, but I think overall drum and bass is king, especially here in
Mm-hmm.
London. So
Awesome.
they're all like cousins of each other, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a little family.
Hmm.
You've had 3 sold out headline London shows. What do you love most about performing live? And is there a moment from one of those shows that like stands out to you?
Mm. Wow. I think the thing I love most about performing live is being able to connect with the audience. Like, that's number one. Just seeing them in the crowd, being able to convey the songs, like the lyrics and stuff, I think stand out much more when you're looking someone in the eye and singing them. And just generally being able to hear the music coming from the band behind me, and like it feels like a full realization of the music. And one that stands out, I guess, I think I played a gig once at Servant Jazz Quarters, which is a lovely venue that we have here in London. And a friend of mine came out and guested. We had a song together at the time, and the band played really well. And I made this top out of red. No, not red. It said fragile, because my EP at the time was called The Red Tapes. So I created a top out of fragile tape,
Ah,
and it
cute.
was it was really cool. But then I started to sweat and it started to fall off. So I spent like half the gig like trying not to release the tits, and like holding my boobs with one hand and my mic with the other. But that one really stood out because it was great vibes. And I also raised a good bit of money for Alzheimer's charity that night as well, which is
That's
something that's
awesome.
in my heart. Yeah.
Um, did you happen to post any pictures in your red tape outfit?
Oh, this is yeah, this is a few years back now, but they exist.
Okay.
They're out there.
That's hilarious. That's awesome. Um, so I have to ask about your song Nightmares being in the BBC drama Click. Were
Yeah,
you a fan of Skins
I
before
was.
this song came out?
Yeah, I was definitely like the core audience for Skins, and my teenage years did feel a little bit like Skins as well. And when the job came up, I originally approached it just as a writer, so I didn't know that it would turn into like me doing it and it featuring me in a song being released. At the time, it was just purely a friend of mine who does music for TV and things said that they were looking for a theme song for something for BBC. And then I got sent the beat, did the thing, they liked it, and went to their offices. And that, I think that's when I worked out that they were the same people that made Skins. And I like had this meeting with everyone, was shaking hands, and I realized these people made skins, and I was like, what the hell? This is so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and then so
crazy.
yeah, it was random, but it worked out well, and the song got released literally out of demand, which was nice because
That's awesome.
yeah, the advert came out with it on there, and yeah, I love that song.
That's so cool. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people have a reminiscing past of watching Skins growing up and experiencing the whole show and everything. Um, I have one final question. So lastly, at Pop Palace, we love asking our guests to curate their own royal court of musical influences. So who would be
Oh,
in your court? Who sits on your throne? And then who would be like two or three people in your court?
okay. On the throne, that's so hard. Oh my god. I I would just probably just go ahead and pop Kate Bush on the throne. Why not? Why not? Let's not mess around.
Totally.
She belongs there. Then you've got like Joni Mitchell, Lily Allen, Lady Gaga, Suzanne Vega, Tori Amos. How many am I allowed?
As many as you want. That's awesome.
A lot. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad to have you on Pop Palace. I know the
My
listeners are going to be
pleasure.
so excited.
Thank you for having me.